Good day, everybody. Looking at my Innovative Marine 20-gallon all-in-one. This is a nano-tank, and well, I'm going to center it for the duration of this video because this is about nano-tanks. And the number one question that I keep hearing on pretty much all forms of social media: what size protein skimmer do I need for my nano-tank? The answer is none. Okay, you can turn off the video now. All right, if you're a gearhead and you want one because you like all the gear, you like the science, you like the technology, you like people to see it all as one big display, that's great. I will never take anything away from anybody in this hobby that wants to go down the science and technology route. That's why they may be in the hobby. But if you're in the hobby for corals and fish and want to save a lot of money by not spending it on unneeded expenses, keep watching. Well, if you're still watching, the first question I have to ask you is, why are you wanting a protein skimmer? Why are you going to get it? Again, the gearheads, I understand them. I'm a gearhead when it comes to some things. So the question is, where did you get the idea you needed a protein skimmer? Was it YouTube? A magazine? Somebody wanting to be sponsored or is sponsored by the company that they're talking about it? Make no mistakes. They're doing it to get some money or become sponsored, to save some money, get free gear, whatever it is. So again, go back and ask yourself the question, why am I getting it? Don't slam that like button. Don't ring that bell. Don't run out and get it. Ask yourself that question. What is the protein skimmer for? Well, let's just give it in the very simplest terms. It is to export excess nutrient from a tank. In a large system, it's one tool, one of many tools. If you've ever seen a sump in a large system, you see a lot of different things going on in there. The skimmer is just part of it. If you've got a skimmer and you're putting it into an all-in-one system, for instance, or any tank under 40 gallons is what I'm going to classify as nano. If it's in the water, that pump does generate heat. It could cause evaporation. It can cause evaporation by the bubbles bursting. We've all seen it in freshwater tanks. Bubbles pop, tank goes down. We know what evaporation is. It'll just speed it along. It's also another point of an electric bill. I did a little checking, and on an 11-watt pump, it's about $1 a month. That's not too bad. But let's say you're gassing off a gallon of water a week. Well, now you've got to make RODI water. It's not a lot, about $1.25 a month. If it's only a gallon a week, if it's 4 gallons, do the math, we can get about $6. That's not much. But now let's say that it's adding too much heat and you're in an area you don't have a home AC, or you live in an area that's really hot. The room might be hot, any number of things. Okay, so now you need a fan, let's say, across the top, or a chiller if you've got a sump. And you need an ATO. They told you got to have an ATO because that'll make life easier for you. Well, a good chiller can run you $400 or $500 or more. That skimmer is going to run you $100, $200. The fans, $100, $200. Water change, electricity bill, the whole 9 yards. First year alone, you're over $1,000. $1,000 is a lot of corals. Just saying. But that's also at least one point of failure, possibly 3. If they go bad, you got to replace them then. More additional expenses. So what's the alternative to a protein skimmer you keep getting told you need to have? Water change. That simple thing we should all be doing every week to our tanks: a simple water change. There is no protein skimmer on the market that can get into the tank, scrub the sand, clean the rock, scrape the glass, turkey baste in the sand, turkey baste detritus that's in the back of the tank that has to be lifted out, test your water parameters. You show me a skimmer that's going to get in my tank and swim around and test water parameters, I'm buying that sucker. It don't do it. It also will never replace trace elements. It will never export nitrates, phosphates. It won't do any of those things. But weekly maintenance will. This tank you're looking at, I do a 13.6% water change a week. It's 15 gallons of water in this tank. I know that exactly because I filled up using 1 gallon jugs. I do 2 gallon water change every week on this tank. In conjunction with the testing, scraping the glass, turkey basting my sand, scrubbing the rock with a toothbrush where I see things that shouldn't be there. And this tank runs perfectly fine. No need for that skimmer, no need for the other things that might come along with it, no need for possible failures, no added electric bill, no added water bill. You say, but all tanks gas off. Well, my tanks, you can look at the other videos, I've talked about it, all have glass tops on them. They all sit about 78 degrees, plus minus 1 degree. They are LPS tanks with some zoas, some mushrooms. I'm not trying to grow SPS. I'm just not a stickhead. It just doesn't attract me. But I keep a low bioload, 2 clowns, diamond sleeper goby. There's a 6-line wrasse in this tank. My wife's tank has 2 clowns, a 6-line, and a molly. By the way, if you're not into mollies, you're missing out on one of the damn best hair algae cleaners there is. Just saying. So, if you're doing your water changes, it's taken care of. Even a 20% water change a week, that's not that much. It's 97 cents a gallon for me to make 1 gallon of salt water. That's about the average in the US. I was kind of checking around different areas from basically Texas, Florida, where else did I go? Nebraska, Michigan. I was looking at different water rates, city water rates, and that's about what it takes. The salt I use is Tropic Marin, so it's a little bit more expensive. For a 200 gallon bucket, I'm paying about $90. Reef crystals, you're going to save about $30. I actually just saw a sale on them for $40 for 200 gallons. Makes me wonder how long that salt's been sitting around. Just saying, be careful. But you could save even more money. If you're doing 100% water change a month, you probably should not be in the hobby, because that means you're not testing and something's going on that when you decide you finally need to test, you're got major problems. If you're doing 100% water change a month because of problems, please get out of the hobby. No, seriously, get out of the damn hobby. You don't need to be in here killing things. It's just a simple truth. Some people probably need to pick up a better hobby. The other thing you can do is don't overfeed your livestock. You see the clowns in here? I've told you what's in our tanks. They get a pinch of food every day. That's it. They're perfectly fine, and it's a very small pinch. Basically what they can eat in about a minute. They're growing, they're putting on weight, they're doing good. Some of you have seen my South American tank. There's 50 tetras in there, neons, 10 rummy nose, Of course, the discus and ultims, and they get a pinch a day. A lot bigger pinch, mind you, but a pinch. They've bred for me. They've been in there for years. If you don't overfeed your tank, you don't get a lot of nutrients in there that need to be constantly exported. I made this video because I keep seeing it come up, and I just want people to ask themselves, why am I getting something that I really don't need? When a weekly water change and maintenance I have to do anyway takes care of it for me. I would rather myself, mind you, spend my money on those beautiful corals and fish over all the gear in the world. I just recently redid this office to make it a lot nicer. Upgraded my wife's tank so that it's nicer. I couldn't have done that if I kept spending money on the gear. I'd rather spend the money on making things look nice and having a nice looking tank and collection. And to finish it off, because I am kind of proud of her tank, she's taking care of it on her own, we're just going to move the camera on over and take a peek at her tank. Looking pretty good. She's got her Blossomusa Mariletti doing really good. The two trackies are just, I'm kind of jealous of her trackies. Her Zoish, she stole from my tank. Well, isn't that funny how that happens? And then her Alveopora, they're just looking really nice. But you can see her tank's doing wonderful as well. Neither one of these tanks have a protein skimmer. Matter of fact, both these tanks are set up almost identical. The only difference between the two of them, I have 2 return pumps, she has 1, and I think I'm going to go ahead and get a second one for hers because redundancy. That's it. I like the redundancy. You can see 2 beautiful innovative marine tanks, and I'm going to tell you right now, I would not have been able to afford it had I gone down the gearhead route. Well, I would have, but it would have taken longer. Instead, I've got a very happy wife that's in the reefing with me now. Could be dangerous because I think there's going to be more things end up. She's got my fire and ice Zoas in her tank. What the hell? I'm sorry, distraction, and I'm not even going to hide that. How the Word to the wise, if your spouse gets into it with you, apparently you're going to have Zoas and other things disappear into their tank. Anyway, sorry, distraction, but not really. That was kind of cool to see that you put them in there. Longer video than I normally make. In parting, anytime you want to get any kind of tool or anything like that, in a nano tank especially, ask yourself why. Just ask yourself why. I hope every one of you has a great day and this makes you stop and think about it. And I'll leave you with just that beautiful looking tank of hers. I'm really proud of her. I really am.